Hey folks, welcome to Ballyhoo Creations. This video tutorial will show you how to make in-the-hoop elf ornaments with your embroidery machine using designs from ballyhoocreations.com. Look for a link in the description box for the design files as well as tools and materials used in this video. I've hooped some no-show mesh in my 4" by 4" hoop. I've got a 4" by 4" piece of stretch fabric for the hat, 2 of the 3 by 3 pieces for the body, and then 2.5 by 2.5 for the face, front and back. The first color will stitch a placement outline on your stabilizer to show you where to place the fabric pieces. The arrow is the direction of stretch, and the straight line below that is the placement line for the edge of the fabric. So we're going to have the stretch going horizontal the way the arrow shows, and we're going to have the fabric touch that bottom line under the neckline. And then the same thing with the body fabric. You want to place it right side down over the face fabric at the same line as the face, touching that horizontal line. Put that on the machine to stitch color 2, which creates a seam and attaches the head and body fabrics together. Now we're going to flip just the body fabric and pull it down. You may want to use a piece of tape to secure it so that that seam will lie flat. And then we'll stitch color 3. This does a tack down stitch to hold your fabric in place partially around it, and then it will do the face, and then finally it will stitch the arms. After it's stitched that, it will stop to the left side of the neck, and that's just to put the needle in the right position for the next step. Now we're going to trim the jump threads if your machine didn't do that for you already. And we will start stuffing. I like to put a tiny bit of stuffing in the nose for some dimension, and then just a very little amount in each arm, approaching that from the side, and get the stuffing in there. Gives you a little extra soft sculpture effect. If you're adding some stuffing into the arms, make sure that you get it pushed down kind of far so that it's not in the way of where the seam will be, and then also make sure that your head and body fabric lay flat when you're finished. I actually put too much in that arm, so I decided to take it out, split it in half, and then do it again so it's not as puffy. If it's too puffy, it will cause problems when you're stitching the back onto your elf. Now place the second piece of the 3 by 3" body fabric over the existing front body and match the top with the neck seam. And then place the remaining 2.5 by 2.5" head fabric over the existing head fabric. Cover that face. And there should be some overlap of the back of the head and the back of the body, and that's going to create your turning flap. About 1/2 inch of overlap there. We'll put that on the machine and run the seam. This will cover up the left shoulder to hold that down, and then it will go around clockwise, and then it will return and go counterclockwise so you get a double stitch seam. If you notice any bunching, it's probably because the arms are overstuffed or the fabric might be too thick. Otherwise, it should run pretty smooth. And at the end of that, it's going to go over to the top right just to position the needle for the next bit. I like to trim away a little bit off of the right side to make sure that the hat placement doesn't cover up any of that fabric. I don't want it getting caught. So just trim a little bit away from the head and neck area. And then run color 5, which will stitch a placement onto the stabilizer for the hat. Take your 4" by 4" piece of fabric and fold it in half so that it's stretchy horizontally, same as the body. And then place the fold of that fabric along the line on the right side of the hoop. Not the one that has the arrows showing the fold line, but the line to the farthest right. Make sure your fabric covers the top and bottom of your placement lines so that all the stitches will be on the fabric. And then put that on the machine and run color 6, which will double stitch the seam for the hat. The embroidery is finished, so we're going to remove it from the hoop and go ahead and cut the pieces away. I like to cut the stabilizer away from the hat seam first. And then cut the hat. Make sure you cut the hat out correctly. Don't cut the fold. Put that aside, don't lose it. And now cut out the little elf body. Be careful around that neck area. It's pretty thick, so make sure your scissors will cut through there. And then cut a little notch on each side of the neck. Use some hemostats or some tweezers to turn the hat inside out. And then the elf body you can easily turn with your fingers. Just turn it over in the back where you see that little flap, turning the head inside out and then the body. Just pressing out the seams. And you put the hat on. You could be finished at this point if you wanted to, without any stuffing or anything. Just glue the hat on. I'm going to take it a little bit further though. Put a little bit of stuffing into the head and the body. Not too much, just a little bit. I decided to give this one a little bit of hair using some curly minky fabric or any kind of faux fur, any kind of yarn, whatever you like to use for doll hair would work here. I'm just gluing it on using some Fabri-Tac. And then I'll put the hat on and just use little dots of glue under the hat to hold it in place. Here's a tip for working with fabric glue. Keep a paper towel or a scrap of fabric or stabilizer close by and keep wiping that nozzle of the glue bottle or the tip of the glue bottle so that it's clean. That way you won't get big globs of glue on your project. You could use something else like hot glue or whatever you like in this situation. I have a problem with hot glue. It always burns my fingers, so I stick with the Fabri-Fix. Just wanted to show you some examples of ways you can embellish these. I've got a bunch of different trims here that I could use for the neck, for the hat, something on the tip of the hat. I think that one's a little too big for him. The pink didn't quite fit. I tend to go to this cream colored little pom-pom trim a lot for these. I'm using a bigger pom-pom trim here, and I just cut a little pom-pom off and I'm going to glue that to the top of the hat. Wiping off the glue bottle, put a little bead on the neckline, and then press that trim on there. Going to do the same thing for his hat. Then I'll flip him over and do the same on the back. And then a tiny drop of glue on the pom-pom, attach it to the top of his hat. And for this one, I've got these little ornament hangers. I think these are from Hobby Lobby from years ago. Never opened them. Here we go. Back in the seam there, I'm just going to poke that through, and the seam is actually going to hold that pretty well. So I can hang that from a tree, I can hang it on a gift, like a gift ornament. And he's all done. There are 6 different elves in the elf ornament collection. You can buy them singly or in a pack of 6. Here's some different examples of how I've used different trims and embellishments, ribbons, things like that on them. I hope this video tutorial was helpful. Hop over to ballyhoocreations.com for the machine embroidery design files, as well as a list of tools and materials on how to make this project.